Hello, I'm the angry issue taking spork. You see, last issue of Batman and Robin Eternal basically said, no, Cassie Kane's origin shouldn't be about her, it should be about Harper Row, because we've got no actual use for that character, and being original is just too much hard work. So, since the Calms et al. Wasn't cutting it and calming me down, I've decided to basically get blind drunk to numb myself from the pain of this stupid retcon story. Oh, and then Mother played a noise that was going to make all the kids teenaged and younger into her slaves, including the girls at St. Hadrian's, who are all secrets agents in trainings. Issue 19 is scripted by Tim Seeley and opens in a coffee shop near the school, where a woman's caffeinated purchase is interrupted by a school bus crashing into the store, and all the children pile out saying the same thing. Mother, 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 mother. The lady tries to tell the clerk to contact matron, but then the kids attack and maybe she's dead. Then some Miss Gold lady at the school is all mad for being attacked, talking about paddles and discipline while reaching for a gun but gets hit with an arrow. I used to be a teacher like you, until I took a knee to the arrow. Wait a minute. Then some Miss Pantosia lady saves her dressed like all the other brainwashed girls, and as they run away, she says she can hear a voice telling her to kill the adults. Then we cut to Harper getting all ichthised and about to shoot David and Poppy when Red Hood arrives looking for her, and she aims her stun gun at him instead. They're both lousy characters, so I don't know who to root for here. Maybe Superboy Prime will sneeze and undo all this Eternal Retcon reboot garbage. Matron Bertinelli is all grabbing Cass, angry, like, "What's going on here, you?" And then Grayson's all, "Back off, you trained teen killers too, maybe Mother planned this all along." Then Matron's like, "Oh, no, you didn't." And then Tim's all, "Dude, look, she wants Hypnos," which I guess is that satellite. The fight we don't see between Harper and Jason apparently ended in a double knockout, which Orphan says shorted out the system to let him and Poppy free, which is way too whimsical for him. He's about to punch Blue Hair with his robot fist, but then a bunch of controlled spiral students start firing arrows at him, which he thinks looks beautiful. Which is weird, since he was always against Mother's new high-tech methods. But Poppy suggests running away from pointy projectiles. So hey, that satellite before is called Somnus, and it's supposed to shoot Hypnos at a large area of people in case a lot of them need the knowledge of the spy agency erased all at once. And Tim starts talking about Ichthys being used globally when he and Cassie start getting all head-grabby and attacky. Grayson stops Helena from being too lethal with Cass, throwing his gun to knock out her crossbow, since this isn't their fault, explaining things to her I thought she already knew? That was just last issue. She was there. Why is it being explained to her again? Looks like Tim is trying to snap himself out of it, saying only Scarecrow's gas can counteract Ichthys, but it doesn't last until Nets puts a funky gas mask over him that has him breathing in said gas to drown out Mother's voice, which we really haven't heard read. I mean, if there's a voice involved, why no text? Or is it figurative? Well, the mask works as Cassie busts Selena's nose before she gets one. Mother's hack into their systems is thorough, so Ness will need Red Robin's help, but there's the signal telling him to kill and Crane's toxin. He's filtered it at a different dosage, so it's not the same, but he's still hallucinating. Wait. he set the filtration, but Net's already had those kind of masks at the ready. Where did they come from?
Helena says they need to hack and disable the compound's single generator, stop the signal, and prevent Somnus from being usurped. Wait, their whole place has one generator? That seems pretty short-sighted in the event of a power loss. Even I can see that. I'm drunk. Grayson elects Cassandra to join him in finding Jason and Harper, while Helena takes Nets and Drake to shut down the generator. That first part is done easy enough, with Agent 37 finding Red Hood perving on the concept of a swarm of college girls, but I don't think these girls are in college. Creepy. And hey, Grayson made the same joke, so okay. Harper attacks, but Cassie reins her in and masks her. Rose starts talking out loud what's happening, which feels totally unnatural, especially since she wasn't there when everyone else was explained what the whole gas ichthys thing does. And she sees Cass as some kind of psychedelic mini Lady Deathstrike, so with the toxin showing her greatest fear to confront, she decides to kill it, throttling Cassie as her mask slips loose.
Whoa. Hold the glowing red backbone. It's ichthys, which is being countered by the fear gas that lets you fight back against your trauma, in your mind-brain thing. So, did her mask come off by accident as she suddenly grabbed Cassie, or did she loosen it between pages? Why do I ask these questions? They're not going to get answers just because I'm drunkened.
Issue 20, Sealy Script Stilling. I mean, ceiling scripting still. I mean, you know what I mean. Gold and Pantoja barricade themselves inside the currently unused gym, but the controlled students are pretty capable, so they'll only be safe for so long, after which it may come down to lethal force. Meanwhile, Helena, Red Robin, and Dr. Nets are headed to the generator, having to fight off a student. Matron vows revenge on the woman responsible for all this, while they all are watched by Orphan.
Hey. Why is Pantoja, however that's pronounced, immune to ichthys, however that's pronounced? Maybe there's something about the character that's established in the title Grayson, which would make it make sense, but this isn't that book. I can tell that, and you shouldn't expect me to already know everything about that book when I'm reading this one. And I have serious doubts that'll get explained in this one.
So, the fear gas blocking ichthys has made Harper so terrified of Cassie killing her, like she did her mom way back, she's trying to kill Cass first, which sounds more like Ichthys' deal, so that still doesn't make any sense. But hey, gotta fool the reader into thinking Roe is important and effective somehow, so who needs to be consistent or capable as a writer? Cassie's all upset, even though she should be able to disable Roe pretty effectively. But her dad couldn't do something simple like kill her, so I guess New 52 incompetence runs in the family here. Hey, the groundkeeper's dead. That's genuinely more interesting than anything Bluebird related. The same person disabled the elevator, so Helena and the others have to climb down, which doesn't look too good to the still hallucinating Double R.
Dude, if you saw the character you were before and compared it to the one DC rebooted you into, the latter would make all your nightmares seem like Sesame Street.
Oh goody, this ping-ponging back and forth thing, just dandy. Well, Harper's doubting Cass was ever her friend, even though she made her laugh, which I don't think we ever saw, not that their supposed friendship had any real development anyway. And he hallucinates Cass with bloody hands, which is kind of a terror step down from the claw monster she saw before. She fires her stun gun, but Grayson takes the vaults for Cassie. Rose still determined, with an eye for an eye revenge mentality driving her, and that's when Grayson catches Poppy raiding a weapons vault for a souped-up whip, and then he kicks her for talking too much, because that's his deal. She also looks like she stopped to change clothes for whatever reason. Meanwhile, Orphan is closing in on Team Break Our Only Generator, so Helena tells the others to go on ahead while she faces off their foe.
Elevator fight! Take a shot!
But it's back to Harper Row. Dang it. Who's calling Cassie a monster, and blood for blood, and blah blah for blah blah blah. And I guess the fire whip activated the sprinklers since before. Red Hood intervenes, trying to go easier on the girl than he normally might, and if he can do it, surely she can. And yet neither of them can be interesting. For some reason, Cass sees Hood as David Kane, yet Harper is normal. She picks up Harper's weapons, saying they're friends because, again, no standards allowed for her now, and she zaps them in herself, 'cause water, water everywhere, let's all have a drink.
Don't mind if I do. My dead brain cells are thanking me that they don't have to continue on with this book.
As Matron is enjoying a chance to fight again, Tim's having trouble and time's running out. Nat suggests working backwards because topsy-turvy is Spiral's bag, baby. So he should write code to turn the generator on. Which sounds like kind of a terrible idea, even if Nat should have been able to do this herself, since she, works there. Besides Red Robin's crippling fear visions. We peek back at the teacher and student in the gym, then juggle two fights where Poppy coordinates with Orphan to show their respective opponents cryosphinxes on their palms.
Did I start reading a Yu-Gi-Oh manga all of a sudden? I mean, is that on both their hands, or is Kane just lucky he only lost the hand that didn't have the magic eye thing?
Well, whatever it is, it somehow gleans a creepy passcode out about one sister birthing the other, and that gives Mother access to the Somnus satellite. Explanation pending, I'm sure. And she has the panels from the previous page on several screens. Wow, she is connected. Red Robin finally manages to turn the generator off. Hello, darkness. It is Mr. Robin.
Hey, that's not the lyric. Did you not see the Sad Half-Leg video?
With that, Ichthys no longer drives the students, so Kane tells Poppy to collect their guests and meet with a ride he'd previously arranged, since escaping his cell a short time ago, I guess. But yay, Panjoja didn't have to kill her classmates. Later, Helena is in the destroyed coffee shop because she can't face her students, but Dick tells her that they're fine, but Orphan and Poppy escaped with Cass and Harper, and Red Hood may not forgive himself, though I don't know why, since he doesn't know them. Or is this that character growth vaguely hinted at after his own Ichthys experience? He also notes that Mother has Somnus now, and is so distraught he forgets to end his question with an appropriate question mark. Turns out Somnus was modified by Poppy and Nats, so that if Grayson ever wanted to return to being Nightwing, it could be used to make the whole world forget his unmasking way back in Forever Evil. The code was split between Matron and Grayson, so they could make that choice together. Well, isn't that nice? But apparently it was used on DC higher-ups, so they forgot how to not be idiots. That's when a commotion outside leads the two outside, and the arrival of the real Robin, Damian Wayne, and his giant mutant bat dog thing.
Yeah, Damien had his own title around this time, too. I don't know what the deal is with his fuzzy transport there, but since this is an eternal title, it probably already wants to lick Harper Rowe's boots like everyone else.
Issue 21 features a cover with the least convincing moment of "I didn't do it" I've seen in a while, and is scripted by James Tynion IV. Batman narrates on the steely gaze of 11-year-old Harper Rowe, meaning this all takes place about 7 years in the past, as she cradles her mom's corpse on her doorstep, meaning someone dragged the body there from the building where she was killed. Still narrating while fighting crime with Robin, he notes how he examined Mother's remains.
Then how is she alive?
He finds an uncomfortable truth in his similarity to Mother in using a teenager as a soldier in his war on crime, but he admits Mother chose well where Rowe was concerned, having read her transcripts, counselor's notes, and evaluations by teachers, leading to one of the most nauseatingly inept lines I've ever read in a comic. "If I were to choose a canvas on which to paint the perfect partner, it would look like Harper Rowe." That's something Tynion wrote, the editors approved, and DC printed.
Obviously, someone working on this book has an unhealthy lust for Harper Rowe. I say lust because there clearly was never enough genuine affection for the character to build her uniquely with traits of her own, or without making established characters with established fan bases look like complete morons around her. Yet in the Eternal issues, where skills and victories are handed to her by incapable writers, we're expected to believe that Batman considered her the greatest potential sidekick ever. I say again, screw you, comic!
Hey, I'm being drunk, go figure. Bruce still can't wrap his bat mind around the hows and whys of someone building an empire based on trauma. As the dynamic duo are speeding along in the Batmobile, Bats tells Robin there are things overseas he still needs to look into solo, leaving the city in Robin's hands, with Superman flying by every quarter hour. Next page, he's approaching a quaint Eastern European mansion, greeted by hostess Miss Marchenko, who easily recognizes such a famous billionaire. Well, she was clearly never in The Dark Knight Rises. The place is called Serenity because that's what it offers, and not taken from the ship from a cancelled Joss Whedon show. Wayne starts speaking in euphemisms, which Marchenko doesn't care for, so he gets vaguely to the point. He wants to know about a scarred woman and events from, say, 5 decades back.
You know, this would have been a good time to use an alias and a physical disguise to help cover his tracks and protect his secret identity. But that would have been the smart thing to do. Can't have that.
He doesn't get into so many details about how he found her, but unsurprisingly it involved a combination of scare tactics and violence. That's our Batman! Bruce assures the woman that Mother is gone, so she begins her tale in a forgotten principality called Gardevia, which tried to stay neutral in divided times. It was rife with spies, all sorts of crime, and Soviets looking for the salacious indulgences not found in their homeland. Then a member of the Presidium was found dead, believed somehow encouraged by the Gardevian government, and the Red Army showed up to alleviate them of their pesky independence. The girl who would become Mother lived a life of constant indentured servitude to various businesses, to which her parents were indebted, debts which kept rising. On Invasion Eve night, she was working at a tavern in her village serving Soviet soldiers, when one starts choking on his chicken leg, just as young, not-yet mother gives an ominous look. So, up for interpretation, maybe? The soldiers with clear throats are the paranoid lot, and jumped to the conclusion that it was poison from one of the villagers, and instead of letting someone Heimlich the guy, they let him die and gun the place down.
Honestly, I think this was just the easiest way they could think of to get out of paying the bill.
The killing didn't stop there, though, as the girl in question flees through a window and onto the streets as the body count went up. She comes upon her parents surrounded, her dad telling her to run, which I'm sure none of the soldiers heard, even though they're right there, and said parents are promptly shot. Well, at least there's a cap on their debt. Something inside the girl snapped, and she laid down upon her dead parents, playing dead while soldiers made a corpse pile in the town square, as one does. She even stayed still after 7 stabbings from their bayonets to make sure the bodies were really dead. But the real shocking thing is that there's a pile of dead bodies again in this story. But for once, they're not all children. Way to shake things up, guys. Over a few hours in the night, she killed the soldiers in their sleep so efficiently, no alarm was ever raised. When she was done, she left to start a new life.
So the most we know about this girl is that she was basically a slave in a village in a neutral land, and it's seeing the murder of the parents that made her a slave, kept her a slave, that not only let her brush off over half a dozen stabbings, but become an expert super killer. I know it's comics, there's more ludicrous stuff out there, but this book has been nothing but ludicrous, and not the self-aware kind either. It keeps asking more without giving much of anything in return.
Marchenko guesses that Bruce already knows how she knows the story from soldiers' reports from that night, and with that town having been a few miles from the mansion, it's where Mother Sunday later ended up. When young Miss Marchenko found her, she took her home and cleaned her up, which upset her folks enough that her father hid her. Later that night, the rescued girl killed Mom and Pop Marchenko in front of their daughter, so she could be anything she'd wanted, and that the killer was now her mother. Also, I gotta find it weird that the bookending panels up top here look identical, like maybe it's a copy-paste, but the replication has a narration box instead of a dialogue bubble. Maybe to still have dialogue, but show in that panel she's being silent, or something. Anyway, Miss Marchenko insists Bruce leave, and he apologizes for reopening old wounds, but insists Mother is gone for good. But the hostess knows better, as she asks to be done away with quickly by a very lively corpse.
How is she alive?
Back in Gotham, Batman is observing Harper, now with a new hairstyle than we last saw, holding her little brother Cullen, and narrating that he had 2 rooms ready at the manor, thinking he could give them better lives and keep them from his war, but didn't really keep his first sidekick from discovering the cave, and thinks just by having the opportunity present would give the illusion of choosing the crime fighter's path, when it was no choice at all. He'd essentially force her to live by the same rules that led Cassandra to kill Mama Rowe, while confirming that she did in fact bring the body home to rest in peace. He mentions, though, that Cass refused to kill the others, but there was only Marcus left to kill, so unless the pluralizing there is a typo, who else was on the hit list? Anyway, he concludes that Harper Rowe's life may be hard, but she may find the strength to face it with someone other than the Dark Knight.
Honestly, I think hard life is debatable since convenience and bad writing have certainly been very good to her. Not very good to other characters, but hey, it's their fault for not being Harper Row.
Turns out this whole time, Bats was dangling Marcus Rowe upside down from a gargoyle. And sure, his kids deserve better than him. Marcus admits that as easily as he does his cowardice at leaving his wife to die. But he's all they have, and Bats tells him, despite running in gangs for Penguin and Two-Face for any cash he could scrape up, it all ends now. Wow, even Harper's dad is being retconned in an attempt to be more interesting. Anyway, Batman tells him to apply for a Gotham Electric job, which he'll get, and he'll show up every day to support his kids. Otherwise, the Dark Knight will be waiting for him in the shadows. Though, is Bats sure he can scare Marcus enough to be qualified for the job? Is he an electrician by trade? Will Bruce Wayne secretly pull the strings? What's going on?
Hey, I'll admit, I like a good bat-enhanced interrogation scene, and this was a good one. Though, as established in the previous Eternal series, Marcus ends up on death row somehow, so it doesn't really last.
In the Batcave, Bruce knows how Father of No Year will screw up, but Harper's life will be her own. Well, as her own as it can get when she rips off so many characters. He thinks about a lot of things, about the now free children who can make their own lives for themselves, and how to be a better mentor to Grayson and let him mold himself, how he's done everything he can for a girl that just lost her mom, and decides to let it go, which he does by purging his computer of all traces of his shadow file on Mother.
So there you have it, folks. It wasn't enough that Harper was given traits from most of Batman's allies, mostly their pre-Flashpoint iterations, or that she's somehow superior to them when the story or bad writing necessitates it. But she's also was destined to objectively be the greatest Robin of all time. And the fact that someone thought this was good storytelling is nauseating. Well, that and some of it might be the excessive drinking. No, mostly it's the comic.